What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great, incredible, wonderful day. I know I am. I'm having an incredible day because I'm here doing something that I truly love. And guess what? We are only 2 days away from Dallas Cowboys having training camp open. Some teams are already open. Now, here's the worst nightmare. Worst nightmare that you can have. Detroit Lions, C.J. Gardner carted off from practice today. Carted off with a knee injury. They said they're hopeful that it's not bad. But see, this is where training camp's open. You have the optimism of everything, and then all of a sudden you lose a player. And that can change your season in the course of it completely. I am excited about the guys that we have coming, to the team. I'm excited to see the battles because there's a lot of guys that are fighting for their NFL careers to make this roster. When I think about a few years ago, when Rondell Carter, drafted from JMU. I had a lot of hope for him. I was like, yeah, one of my JMU Duke buddies, is on the Cowboys, and looked at the chances of him making the roster and saying, they're pretty good because we weren't pretty good when it came to players. Now, we're talking about guys like Neville Gallimore possibly being on the bubble. I don't think you guys realize how huge the change in our defense has been. Now, I talked about reasons to be optimistic for the Cowboys offense last night. Reasons to be optimistic by why the Dallas Cowboys defense is going to be better. Well, first of all, the biggest thing that the Dallas Cowboys did this offseason was bringing back Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn has been putting together an incredible roster of guys. And you can see where he has literally evolved. We've gone from Rod Martinelli's defense, which was bend, don't break, I'm an old guy and I fear having things happen, to now being an aggressive team that's coming after your ass. To quote Dan Quinn after beating the crap out of the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl, we were fast, we were physical, and we won with fundamentals. And he has implemented that completely here with the Dallas Cowboys. You can say what you want about the Dallas Cowboys, but you cannot say that they aren't physical. That after playing them, you feel it the next day. The reasons I feel great about this defense is, Anthony Brown, he gets a lot of grief. Anthony Brown was not a bad cornerback. But unfortunately, due to circumstances, A, being a Dallas Cowboy, you are in the spotlight, and B, being opposite of Diggs, who is becoming a shutdown corner. I know the guys at Pro Football Focus and all the talking heads and everything else won't give him any credit. They'll look at him and just say, he's garbage, or, they'll come up with metrics to say he's not good. But when you can take away the ball 17 times in 3 seasons, you are doing a lot of damage. That's part number one. Part number two, again, going back to Anthony Brown being the guy who, if you have to throw against somebody, you're going to throw against Diggs, who's picking, the getting interceptions, or you're going to go against Anthony Brown. They're going to throw against Anthony Brown. Of course, they're going to pick on him. But now, getting Stephon Gilmore, who is now a couple of years away from his injury, who last year actually played really, really well. You pair him up with Diggs, now you've got 2 great cornerbacks. And ultimately, I think you've got the best combination of safeties in the NFL between Jabron Kurtz, Malik Hooker, and Donovan Wilson. You have guys that can not only cover the receivers, but also can be fast and physical. And with the evolution of the defense, where your quarterbacks can cover, but they can also tackle, and the innovation of the heavy nickel, where you have guys who can tackle, where basically you've got an extra linebacker in there, the Cowboys can match up with just about anybody. The problem for the Cowboys last year was the problem we've had pretty much since the 90s, with the exception of maybe 2006, 7, and 8 when we had Jay Ratcliffe, who was, a Pro Bowler every year. We have been soft, and I mean soft, in the middle. And by that I mean we have not had the big guys who could actually man up and take on the tackles. Tyrone Crawford, love the guy, but having him as one of your starting tackles is too light. He's not strong enough and big enough to be able to hold down the fort. And when you start looking at some of the other guys, the Andre Collins, I think it was, some of the lighter guys that we've had playing nose, we just have not been able to hold the line in the middle, and our linebackers have gotten eaten up. With Mozzie Smith, who is a big guy, he's big, and I mean big, but he's not sloppy. He can actually push. Between him and Hankins, now all of a sudden, and Quentin Bohannon, you've got guys that can be physical and big and a load in the middle that will protect your linebackers. Then you add to it versatility in a guy like Osa Ndigazua, who, being a great wrestler in college, has great hands. He's a little smaller, but he's more agile and quicker. So when you need that guy who is able to have a little bit more of a speed rush, you have him. And what the Cowboys are going to be able to do with so many different combinations, we've seen D-Law and OTAs who's actually played tackle. You have him at tackle, and you've got a guy like Sam Williams who can also bring in. Sam Williams, who's 261, but runs a 4.46 40 at 6'4". If you put those two guys on the ends, you're going to be able to have speed and power. And that's where your stunting ability becomes really good, because you can end up having Sam Williams, for example, they can do an X stunt. You know what an X stunt is? X stunt. Where basically you have Sam Williams on the outside and he's crashing hard inside. He's going across the tackle's face, right? And that means the tackle's trying to follow him. Then you have D-Law coming from the tackle position and bending and going around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. And all of a sudden, you end up making a mismatch with speed that both of them could end up being free and going after the quarterback. When you have speed, it negates the size. I was a tiny nose guard at 220, 5'11". But I had speed where I could jab, step, and rip, and the offensive lineman couldn't keep up. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys have more than anything else, the physicality and the speed to be able to go after these teams. And that is why I believe with Micah Parsons, who literally is not satisfied with what he's done. He wants to have that ring. He is hungry. I mean, starving. It's like he's been on Naked and Afraid and has been eating crickets for 21 days. That dude is hungry and he wants to eat. And that's why, along with the shade that's been thrown on him and the lack of people actually believing in him, they're not getting a swollen head of thinking we're all that in a ham sandwich. They realize they have to go out there and earn that shit. So, 2 days. Let's pray that we don't hear about anybody in the Cowboys carted off. I'm Mark Holmes, and well, if you tune in tonight, this may look a little bit different. It may look a little different tonight. I can guarantee you that. And I'll be here. I hope you will too. So my back stops acting up.
Peace.